you say was the biggest challenge you first faced?
You're
going to have chaos and you're going to have to hustle at the beginning. And everyone says, I think you might have said to me, it's like,
to get from where I want to go to, where we have a better life, there has to be some sacrifice.
What you're doing right now is that you're paying the price today so you can pay any price tomorrow. Welcome to another episode of the Physically Jacked Financially Stacked podcast. Today, a huge pleasure to have Mr. Mark Doherty on the podcast. So Mark is someone I knew of before coming to Dubai. I would respectfully say he's probably one of the most experienced and highest level trainers in Dubai, worked with some top level athletes, got a plethora of experience in the fitness industry, and has now transitioned into crushing in the online space with our help at seven-figure scaling systems. So today we're going to talk through a bit about Mark's journey, what he's achieved, what he's overcome, and what he's doing now, because we'll give a lot of inspiration and knowledge, so we can have a really bounce around conversation with where we go with this. So thank you very much for your time, Mark.
Thank you for having me.
To get stuck into things, what would you say was the biggest challenge you first faced, maybe when we say coming into the fitness industry, and then maybe secondly coming into the online space?
Right, so I'll go way back to the start and where I started. I started like 30 years ago. Back then, there was no such thing really as personal training. It was more like you come in, become a fitness instructor. So basically what I used to do is train a client, give them a program for an hour, take their blood pressure, take their measurements, take them around the program for an hour, and then that client would come back next month. So I would go through a whole host of clients in a month. So from that point of view, I got huge experience with dealing with people in general and seeing what works, what doesn't work. But even back then, it was the point where once you finished your work, you were up hosing the showers and cleaning down, which guys don't do now. Unfortunately, in the PT world, this is what happens. They get their qualification within a short period of time, and then maybe they get one or two clients, so they're not getting enough experience as such. And it's even at the point I'm actually mentoring some PT coaches or PTs at the minute, not on business, definitely not in business, that's why I've got employed you, but more so on how they train people, what they should do with nutrition so that they can get results. Then moving on, like obviously my passion is nutrition, so I did different nutrition qualifications, and actually I became a nutritionist for Body Type Nutrition, a guy called Ben Comer, hugely popular in the UK back in the day. So I was one of their nutritionists. He had a good team. I was well known in the UK. So I was actually doing online back then as well as personal training. So then fast forward on, I'm obviously still studying. I'm finishing my postgrads in performance nutrition. I flew to America to do biomechanics. I like to feel like I want to specialize. I want to be the best that I can be. Not to be better than any coach, but to give the best I can to each client. So then basically fast forward, I'll tell you my story last year. I had sort of a life event that wasn't great. I know we all have them. And even though I had so many online clients, I sort of backed away from PT. I don't do a lot of PT anymore. It's more a hobby. But what I found is I had a wake-up call, and I woke up and go, right, Mark, you're 46. Now I'm 47. That was 46. I said, Mark, you're 46. What have you got to show for the amount of work you've actually done, for the thousands of people you've trained and coached? What have you got? What are you doing? How are you going to do this in 3 years? Are you going to do this in 5 years? What are you going to do at 60? And it sort of hit me up the face. And then I had to say to myself, right, how can I take the next step forward? I already know I'm super confident in my ability of coaching people. And it doesn't matter who the person is. It doesn't matter situation, scenario, professional athletes, general population, health, fat loss. It doesn't matter. But my point is I was very much stuck in business and upscaling. And obviously that's when I seen what you do. And I know you were doing it at a super high level. I know you were successful at it. So for me, my next step was, right, I'm going to have to sign up with someone who actually, not because there's so many business coaches out there. I'm sorry to say so many. But first I had to feel someone who I connected with, just like a client would come and connect with me. Then I had to see, right, this guy has to be getting results first and foremost, because it's a bloody waste of time. If he's not getting results, how's he going to get me results? So then I was like, I sort of had a scarcity mindset, and sometimes I fall back going, right, Mark, should you be earning all this money and da-da-da? And I'm actually going, here, hold on a minute, I've been doing this for 30 years. My main passion and priority is getting clients results, and I put my heart and soul in it. So yes, I should be earning, but can I keep up the amount of work I'm doing without burnout in the future? And it got to the stage I was working with 60, 70 clients at the one time. I'm so tired. I'm still so tired. But I had to feel like, right, what is my next step? How do I progress on? How am I going to make money? I've got a wife, I've got 3 dogs. I want to, yes, keep in the industry, but I want to change it into a business. And this is the hugest mistake I see any trainers and coaches. And I came across my business partner, Ben. And Ben started running it like a business. And I was going, right, Mark, you've been running your life like a bloody clown, like a PT. And what does that mean? PTs run their life from month to month. They make the money and that's it. They don't know how to run a business. They haven't got a clue. I hadn't got a clue. Even within the last 6 months, I'm starting to be more aware what I'm spending, what it actually takes to run a business. And if people think they can step in and just be comfortable and run a business, they've got another thing coming. It's like anything, right? If I have a client going through a transformation, they're going to be uncomfortable, super uncomfortable. And they're going to get this mindset. They're going to want to fall back to where they used to be. And I actually had that recently. Our businesses, we're doing well. We're upscaling. We're growing. Instagram's getting better. But even like last week, I was going, was I happier back to what I was doing, just earning this amount of money? And I was probably making more money than most trainers and coaches. And then my business partner had to almost give me a kick up the ass and say, right, Mark, if you want to be stuck back there. And I realized, you know what? I don't want to be stuck there. I'm not. So I had to say to myself, right, Mark, stop being a pussy, basically a pussy. Because you would not tell, if you have a transformation client coming, Mark, I want to give up, Would you tell that client to give up? No. You will do everything in your power to support them and make them grow. So that's where I'm here today now. And we're pushing and developing. It's moving in places that I'm happy with. I know it's going to be a long-term project, but work is work.
What you said there is fascinating. One of the things I loved was your thought process in pushing, because I don't really... Actually, someone said this to me the other day. It's like, actually, a guy who worked for me, Dan, if you listen to this, he's like, you're so much more calm than you used to be.
Yeah.
And my girlfriend now is like, you're fucking insane, because like, you're like always just like, go, go, go.
Yeah.
And you have to, like, respectfully, whoever's listening to this, you're going to have chaos and you're going to have to hustle at the beginning. And everyone says, I think you might have said to me, it's like, how do you fit all this in? It's like, you just have to.
Yes.
And at one point before I was doing this full time, I had 200 online clients, working full time as an estate agent, competing, training twice a day. I have no idea how I did it, but you make it work, right?
Yeah.
And you figure it out. And you don't know how far you can push until you really push it. And then your stress tolerance increases, and your income will basically be in line with your stress tolerance, how much you can handle.
Yes.
And that's where you're getting to now, because when you go up in different levels of life, so even if you look at it, compare it to fitness, if you start bench pressing 100 kilos, then suddenly you go to 120, like, fuck me, this is a lot. This is a lot of high stress level. It's the same thing in terms of your business. If you increase the workload 20%, it's also the same thing in terms of, like, if you increase your revenue 20%, that almost creates more stress because you've got more going on. But it's acclimatizing to that as you come up. And I think one of the most important things I found helped me personally is being around other people who've been through that process. And because they can say 2 things to you just to realign you. Huge.
You know, like, I used to listen to this statement, your environment is everything, and laugh at it. And you know what? It's one of the most important statements I will follow through with for the rest of my life. You literally are. So this is why I feel when I'm in your team, and number one, I see you doing well. I see our coaches doing well. My business partner, Ben, he's got a huge vision way beyond. So you got to be in that environment. And I'm telling you, it can be so stressful that one negative person could drag you down, can sink your ship. So now it's a point, like, right, I'm not going to be an asshole, but I'm going to, like, take who's there in a positive manner and keep them there, and just oust the people who are just not in my way.
And that's people will ask, what's the secret of success? And it's the 2 biggest things that affect your future, basically, are the environment you're in and who you spend your time with, normally your partner.
Exactly.
So, like, if those two things are aligned,
Yeah.
it's then much easier to get going. And when you're talking about even personal relationships, I read this the other day and I thought it was genius. It's like if you've got personal issues and you're trying to buid a business, it's like trying to run a marathon with gravel in your shoes.
Yeah.
Like
Impossible.
you have to have good foundations for everything.
Impossible. And like my wife now, her background, right? And it's funny because she sort of understands the workload that I'm doing and never ever complains to me because she's from Thailand. She grew up in poverty. She had no money. She had to work 24/7. Like the stuff she does, and she wants to work now more and more, but she understands that. So I never have to worry about that. I feel it at the minute, like I'm maybe neglecting a little bit, but she understands that, right, to get from where I want to go to, where we have a better life, there has to be some sacrifice. In there as well, you have to have some type of balance. So if we want to do it correctly, it's all about structure and planning, and that's probably not what I'm good at, but now I'm getting very much better at it, much aware of it, because yes, I ask the guys in your team. So I'm learning what I need to learn in the business side of things. But at the same time, if someone wants to like transform their body, wants to transform their business, you're going to have to sacrifice and work hard. If anybody tells you, oh, it's a walk in the park and this is easy, they're talking absolute bullshit. There's nothing in life easy. If you like the again in our saying, nothing grows in your comfort zone. 1,000,000%. Very, very true. Comfort zone, you'll stay there, you'll be happy as Larry. But do you actually want to stay in that comfort zone? Will life be fulfilling enough? Will you reach your purpose in that comfort zone? For me right now, no. Not where I want to go to, not where I want to build my business. I'm definitely stepping way, way beyond what I thought was possible, but I'm doing it.
And that's what's exciting. And I think people don't understand there's a cost to everything.
Yeah.
And people don't understand not making a decision is actually making a decision. So whether it's
exactly.
getting in shape, whether it's building the business, if you're kicking the can down the road, that's making a decision.
Yeah.
And when you suddenly start to understand like the compound effect that literally everything you do every day is either taking you towards what you want or away from what you want. There's never like a neutral.
Exactly.
That's a real thought-changing process. And what you're doing right now is that you're paying the price today so you can pay any price tomorrow, because you're building the future for yourself and your wife, where most people are in that instant gratification. And that's why I love you so much, and I know we're so aligned, because from the fitness background, fitness and bodybuilding and getting in shape is delayed gratification, because your workout today is not going to make you look any difference tomorrow. But like the stack up of that over like 8, 12 weeks, 6 months, whatever years, is going to have a world-class physique. 1,000,000%. And it's the same thing with business. Like if I decide to fuck around, not do any work today, nothing's going to happen. But if I decide to do that for 2 weeks in a row, it's going to start to have a knock-on effect.
Exactly.
And that's what people don't understand.
Exactly. I totally agree with that. 1,000,000%.
Do you see a lot of correlations from where your fitness background and the business is starting to develop in? Like for me, I started to connect the dots quite quickly between fitness. Like fitness was the best thing that ever happened to me, because it's like structure, routine, organized, hard work, delayed gratification. Business is exactly the same skill set, but just harder in some respects because there's more external processes, if that makes sense.
1,000,000%. You know, what I found, right, I stepped away from what I call my bodybuilding lifestyle. And I realized, right, I was socializing more, I was spending money more, like literally blowing money. I was making money so that I didn't care about blowing money. But you know, the first thing I did to make improvements, especially more, I said, right, I'm going back to my bodybuilding lifestyle, because firstly, from the age of 15, my father put me in a gym, which was, I'm 47 now.
Where exactly are you from?
Ireland.
Whereabouts?
Very north, Derry.
Okay.
So my father put me in a gym. I developed the structure and a routine, and everything was around my training. Everything. And you know what? Life works so well. My whole life when I did that, when I got away from that structure and planning of bodybuilding, I just got lost. Now I'm back structuring the same thing, because my wife is so in their training. So we're like this. Amazing. She doesn't really drink that much, so we live more like a training sort of lifestyle. But it means, like, number one, if you can structure your life and progress mentally and physically, and if mentally is a huge one, and physically, you're going to be in a much better place to grow everything else, grow your business, get people results. If you're in a place with no structure and chaos, eventually, and I've been there, I still got clients' results, but I eventually almost hit a wall. Now, it's not to say I've got any less stress, but you can manage stress better. Everything's about management and awareness. And I just feel like if you put the structures in play, that gives you the discipline and behaviors to put the structures in play and the discipline for everything else in your life as well.
100%. I think with that, something people don't understand is like you don't rise to your ambitions, you fall to the level of your standards. So,
which you put that out the other day, and I was all, and this couldn't have came at a better bloody time, because I was dropping back in my scarcity mindset. Oh no, I'm comfortable making this money, and everybody else, trust me, I guarantee most like personal trainers or nutritionists be happy earning what I was earning. And I was going, oh, hold on, Mark, and you said that, and I was almost falling back into that. And all of a sudden, I'm like, right, Mark, fake it in. Get yourself back up there.
And that's where sometimes something like that is a perspective shift. And the biggest thing that I'd say to anyone is I hold them to really high standards. And even respectfully, my girlfriend, if she listens to this, I give her shit a lot, and I push her really hard.
Yeah.
But like, she sold 2 programs for £6,000 2 days ago.
Wow.
And she doesn't even have really an online business. She just does the odd thing for me.
Wow.
And you have like online trainers out there who are like, oh, I need to do $250 monthly. It's like, this girl doesn't fucking respectfully know anything.
Yeah.
But I'm like, just do this and do it and don't overthink it.
Yeah.
Off you go. Because, and this is what I'm so passionate about, because I've had like 2-3 people I've spoken to this week. We've had the worst advice from people, I won't say anyone, and in terms of like charge monthly prices, charge cheap prices, work on your systems for 6 months. I'm like, you don't need to fucking work on your systems. It's like, money solves all problems of business, because money is oxygen. If you've got problems with your systems, make more money, you can pay someone to build all the systems for you. Like, the reality is, what we do in essence for building an online business is very simple. You acquire a lead, you get them on the phone, you sell them a coaching program, you coach them. Like, you don't need to overcomplicate this.
And I listened to that, I listened to that bullshit information. I'll hit quantity of people and charge less. And last year I was making like these like stupid deals, and when I look back now, I go, Mark, how effing dare you make deals like that? You've been doing this for 30 years and you made all these deals. And that's almost hitting me up the face now, because when I'm telling people, right, the price is now, we've got a team, oh, but I paid, and I was all, hold on a minute, I did favours for everybody last year, and I shouldn't have done them flipping favours. But this will all, I can see stuff will weed itself out and stuff will grow. And it'll take a transition period of maybe 3 to 6 months max, but I'll never look back. I know I'll never look back. I see all the mistakes I made, and I can literally tell any trainer that comes on board, and this is why I try and get them on, tell them to come on board the business mentorship, which we can talk about in a minute, because if they're living their life like a trainer month to month, they're going to be in for a slap in the face at some point of reality where they're going to not succeed. They're going to fall apart.
This is something to think about. Because I see this a lot, do you think most trainers I see and probably listening to this are in a position where if you want to be in the top 1% in the world, you have to have written down goals. That's literally it. Most of them are going day to day, I'll train a few clients, and they have no plan of like, 5 years time I want this. When I'm 45 I want this. When I'm 50 I want this. Because if you're listening to this and you're PTing in the gym right now, are you going to be PTing people at 55?
Yeah. And that's why I love my life. I started as a coach 17. I started coaching 30 years ago, and that's how I live my life and my mindset. I never thought about the 5 years or so. And it took me to the age of 46 to realise, right, Mark, hold on a minute. And I don't know why it took me so long. Probably because I was in the wrong environment with the wrong people. But at the end of the day, like, there's so many of these people who are actually good coaches, but they just don't know business. And it's not like rocket science. Yes, there's stuff to do, but if they applied it, charge what they're worth, then they would be like 10 years ahead. 10 years ahead in a space of 6 months.
The interesting thing you said there was charge what you're worth. So
and I didn't, and I messed up by doing that.
But neither did I. And a good story on this is when I first started, I made a name for myself with a low ticket program, which is the polar opposite of what I tell anyone to do.
Yes.
So I had an 8-week transformation program called Shred and 8, and we would get like 1,500 people a time on it at like £100 a go. I thought, I'm balling, I'm doing really well. And I had a guy come from that who was from the US who paid me £10,000 for 1 year's coaching one-to-one online. And I was like, why the fuck am I doing this?
Yes.
And then that was a really eye-opening experience for me. But before signing up that guy, I had a limiting belief in terms of what people would pay, because I remember the first time I had a friend of mine training me on sales, and I sold someone in Starbucks in Kingston, in the top floor. I was sitting there, guy paid £500, and I was like shaking. I was like, I can't believe someone just paid that.
Yeah.
And like, the reality is you don't know what you don't know, and people create their own like glass ceiling of where they can go.
Exactly. It's funny because I was speaking to someone the other day and like about abundance and about our mindsets behind, and maybe where did it come from in our life that we believe that we're not worth making this money. I know where it came from my life back in as a childhood thing, but like, trust me, I sit and I have messages every day from coaches who want to know, have this client, what will I do? I mentor coaches who don't know what even want to do, and they're making more money. They were making more, like so much money, and I was going, hold on a minute, Mark. Right, you've been doing this for 30 years. You've probably went through all the top coaches, got coached. You still spend the fortune of money in your own education. Finished my postgrad, flew to America, cost me a fortune to do biomechanics. And I'm saying, and now I'm sitting on the phone and people are going, I don't know if I'm going to spend it. And I'm honestly starting to think, this is actually disrespectful of you to turn around and say that to me. But the problem is the industry has gone that way with so many not decent trainers. Now, I'm not blaming the trainers as such, because some of them are passionate, they want to help people, but I'm blaming the education system behind the trainers. Like the PT course, level 3, I don't care anybody listening, it's shit. It should be wiped out and destroyed. How can anybody, like, there's no quality control, and like so many people sit on the phone, and this is the truth. But and this is one of the most common questions I get. But I spent this much last 3 years on 3 different coaches. So what's different about you? Why should I go? I say so. Yeah. So they're already running into like bad coaching experiences. But yeah,
and I think that's where the problem with a lot of people is a race to the bottom. So everyone's trying to undercut each other and charge the least.
And more so now than ever.
And because that's the wrong mindset. But the reality is there's what's called a red ocean strategy and a blue ocean strategy. Red ocean is like everyone's fighting like red water where like sharks kill each other, right? Blue ocean is where there's no one there. Yeah. Blue ocean is the high price point. And like I know you've had some insane prices at like retarded amounts.
Yeah.
And because most people haven't got the minerals to say it. And
yeah.
That's the difference between having a hugely successful business and not. Because the reality is actually if you've got a high net worth individual, they actually want to pay more, because the reality is the money doesn't really mean anything to them.
Yeah.
And them actually paying more keeps them more accountable. So it's enough. It's enough to make them think, I don't want to waste this money. I actually need to do what Mike tells me to do. Whereas if it's like 250 quid, they're like, bothered.
And you know what I realised? The same person that won't pay 10,000 dirham will not even pay you 1,000 dirham. And you know, I just don't waste my time. And I go on the call, say, look, I'm not wasting my time on people, because the reason being, and I'm telling them, I don't say you're a waste of time, but there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people out there who need my help or my team's help. So I'm trying to get through as many people as I can and bring on the committed people. Say, look, if you're committed, come on board with me. I'll get you results, and I'll teach you how to get results, and I'll teach you how to keep results. So now I'm sort of like being more cutthroat in a professional manner, because I'm just getting older, time's getting shorter. It's not like I have all the time in the world anymore. It's just like, right, Mark, boom, have to wean through who's not really committed, who's not willing to pay the right money I deserve that I should be paid, because I put everything into my education throughout the years. And to be honest, like the money I charge is like, I wouldn't say it's like super high. Yes, some people have paid me a lot of money because they see value in it. But I still don't even think what I charge is super, super high for what people get in return.
Not at all. And the reality is, like, what's it worth to someone if you add 10 years to their life?
1,000,000%. Like if they invest in me in 3 to 6 months and they say, and I literally have guys sitting on the opposite side of the phone on the Zoom call. They're 30 kilo overweight. They tell me their cholesterol issues, their blood pressure's high, their thing, and I'm going, right. In my head, I know these people are going to die young, right? And I'm not going to say that, but I was going, right. If someone invests in me 3-6 months, I get a ton of body fat off them. I get massive improvements in their blood work. I teach them the habits and behaviors so they can keep it off. This guy's going to live 10 or 20 years. So what would we value 10 or 20 years of extra life? What would we put that in value? And when I go, right, and I am just shocked at some people. And that's why I don't waste my time anymore. I just being blunt, say, do you want it? Do you not want it? I tell them they need it because they bloody do need it. But it's crazy people's mentality.
And that's something you brought up then is actually the number one skill people actually need to have to be successful online. Most people actually don't realize is actually sales skills, because because the reality is, I know you've worked on a lot on this and it's helped a lot, obviously, with core being what we do.
Yeah.
And one of the things you mentioned there just reminded me that I remember doing a sales call before with like a guy who was like £500, and I was pretty savage with him, and I was like, look, if you don't do this, you're going to die.
Yeah.
Because reality, how many 60-year-olds do you see with £500? Guys like 48.
Yeah.
So I was like, you can not do this. Like, I don't really give a shit. Or you can do this, and I'll help you live a lot longer.
Yeah.
And he signed up, and he lost like 150, 200 pounds.
Yeah.
Like straight away.
Yeah.
So the reality is, like, anyone listening to this, your job as a trainer is to be fucking brutally harsh and honest with people, because people need a rude awakening. And actually, respectfully, I find even more so men who are successful need someone to be brutally harsh with them, because if someone's really successful, everyone works for them. It's they're used to yes, sir.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're like, fuck you, Mark, I don't care how much money you have, but you're fat and you're going to die in 10 years. You need me, I don't need you.
100%. And this is why they're successful business, because they're doing what we're trying to do to them, to their employees. And like literally it's I think what happens is trainer goes on and go, oh, this is a CEO, and he's like,
shits himself.
I'm afraid. I'm going, here, hold on a minute. You might be a CEO, but I'm the king of this.
Yeah.
This
is my
program.
kingdom right here. Yeah.
Yeah. You want results, and probably me getting you results is not going to make you even live longer. Your cognitive function is going to be better. Your productivity and work is going to be better. Your stress is going to be better, which probably carries on to your family life. You'll have a happy family life. Here we'll teach you how to be flexible, how you can enjoy your food at the weekend still. Oh my God. It's like, to be honest, when I'm sitting here thinking and doing this talk, I feel like I should be charging double what I'm charging, which I might change when I go off.
You should do. But like, and I would actually suggest that anyone listening, just like, sometimes just fucking like Celine, the French lady. I said to her yesterday, she's going to try and pitch someone 12.5K. I don't know how it went, but like, we'll find out after this. I was like, just fucking try it. Like, if you think the prospect's good and your service is worth it, you charge whatever you like. It's your program, so you set the price. And the reality is that these people, like, if someone's very successful in life, if you make them happier, you make them have more energy, make them have clear cognitive function, they're going to make a lot more money anyway. So it's the same if you look at things from say someone's a funnel expert and they help someone get a 5% higher conversion rate. If they work with a business that makes 100,000, then that business makes an extra $5,000 a month. Right? If a business does $1 million, that's an extra $50K a month. So your actual worth to that individual who makes more money is much higher, because your ability to actually get incrementally more money for them to produce because their output is higher is way, way more. So actually, you should charge more to people who have higher skill base and make more money.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. I totally agree with that.
The other thing I should say, going with that huge mistake I see all the time, and I just want to like fucking stab myself in the eye with, is, and it's pushed by people in the UK all the time because people are small-minded, is charging monthly. Now, the two reasons why no one should ever charge monthly: number one, from a fitness client's perspective, they have zero commitment. Their commitment psychologically is like monthly. It's like
going in one foot in, one foot
I'll try it.
Out.
Well, no fucking try it. You do it.
Yeah. And I came across that the other day, and I just says no. Says I said, I actually don't want you on the program, and he says, why? And I says, because you're already going 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And he says, no, I want to stay on. And they signed up for the 3 months.
And that's excellent fucking sales skills. But it's not about, yes, that makes you more money, but that client is said to themselves, I'm fucking going to do this and I'll see it through for 12 weeks. Not like, I'll try it for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to do anything in 4 weeks.
Nah, you're not. And at the end of the day, right, we could sit here and talk about, yes, we want to be super successful in business, but our priority first and foremost is getting clients results. So I don't like money aside. Like, yes, I want to make money, but first I want to get clients results. I want to be the best on the planet. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to be better than all the coaches, but my mentality is I want to be the best I can be. And the best I can be is like a client's here for a number one reason, for a result. And to be honest, 90% of them want to look good naked. They want to look good. That's what they want first. And I tell them, I'll get you that. But thankfully, hand in hand comes optimal health if we do it correctly. Like, so, yeah.
But this is what people also don't understand. Why fitness is the easiest business to do, to succeed in if you just do what you just said. Because if I'm a client of Mark's and I'm 50 pounds overweight, if I lose 50 pounds in a year's time and go to some like work function with loads of other CEOs and executives, they're going to be like, what the hell has happened to you?
Yeah.
Like, you look like a new man. Like, what have you done? Oh, I worked with this Mark guy, did this. Like, how many clients do you think you're going to get from that guy?
Yeah.
And I've got clients in Dubai, in the US, who I've probably made like 30 grand off each of them dollars from referrals, because they've had such life-changing transformations that like, they're not selling their friends. Their friends are like, I need this as well.
Yeah. I'm gonna say, like, I literally get so many referrals, and like, I could probably live off my own business and referrals, but obviously I want to upscale, bring my coaches in, so therefore it has to be more. But this is where we make our money, from people seeing other people get results. And like, if we can't get results with clients, then we're not going to be successful, no matter how good we are at sales. It'll have a short fall eventually.
Well, it's that thing, isn't it? You're true to your values, all right? So one of the things I wrote down to ask you about is you have a huge passion for learning. I also have a huge passion for learning. And when you're true to your values, that comes across, because you know what you're fucking talking about. You've walked the walk yourself. Yeah. And Alex Hormozy actually did a video on this recently, talking about like the levels of authority to learn from someone. So like the top criteria is someone who's done what you want to do and can also teach what you want to do. So like if someone wants to get in great shape, you've got in great shape, you've helped others do it. Yeah. As have I. If someone wants to build their business online, I have a huge fitness business. I've also taught others to do the same thing. Yeah. Like, that's the highest echelon of learning, right? Yeah. And that's a huge skill you have.
Yeah.
Would you say that passion for learning is always something you've had? Bear in mind, one of the things you said is that, respectfully, this is something I see a lot, is people coming from somewhere like Ireland have that scarcity, small-mindedness. Do you think that's always something you've had, or that's grown as you've come to Dubai?
No, it's actually, I actually come from a town that I feel it's very competitive of growing up. I felt like, I'll not go too much into my childhood, but I was always competitive. I wanted to be the best. Even when I played soccer, football, I'll just say in soccer in case anybody doesn't know. I always wanted to be best. And I used to be a glory hunter. I mean, I used to be a centre forward, and I used to hold on to the ball and try and ring the pitch. And I always want to be the best I can be. Now, there is a certain amount of competitiveness. I want to be better than everybody else. But I feel like the more you think about trying to be better than everybody else, the more you'll fall back. The more you focus about trying to be better than yourself, you will let it don't matter about everybody else, because you probably eventually take over about 99% of them. So, like, for me, it's all, there's so many, like, how my mind works, it's always like, right, how can I do things better? Is it good enough? What do I need to learn? Having the mindset that there is always a potential to learn of someone. Like, not running ego, I know everything, because I still don't. There's still people I could sit for like hours and speak to nutrition and training, and like some, like, probably sit and talk to you about stuff, because what you're doing now is I'm going back into. And like, I'm finishing my postgrad. Now I've come to this stage where it's like, I wanted to go on and do a PhD in nutrition, but now I've pulled myself back and says, right, Mark, you'd be actually better. You don't really need to learn more on nutrition. You know everything. You can just keep updated by studying the research. But would that 3 years, 5 years, whatever it is, PhD, plus the investment money, would that affect your business? And yes, 1,000,000%. And you know what? If I have a PhD, the same people will not listen to me, and the same people will listen to me. Doesn't matter what I say, because there's so much bullshit on social media. This doctor said this, so it should be right. And I was like, okay. So now what I'm trying to do is focus what I need to focus on. Just keep studying, because I keep like reading and studying. As you know, when you read, it keeps the brain active and in a good place. And I feel like as we get older, we want to keep the brain. So now I still want to do like smaller. So for my post-grad, I was doing like 3-4 hours a day, every day, like crazy amount of work. I still want to do that, but not to that extent. Like 30 minutes a day, keep your brain working, I feel would be perfect. Maybe it's read a book, maybe it's find out, and that's where I'm going now. But yeah, I've always been competitive, and this is probably when I competed in bodybuilding. I always wanted to win. We always have a winning mindset. There's other issues where I can see negatively affected my thing. Like sometimes I procrastinate, sometimes I don't finish when I start. So this is like areas I'm looking at now of how I can improve, but keeping that winning mindset, which is essential.
And I think one of the most important things you said there is you need to have the winning mindset and want to be the best. But I think one of the big issues I see with people is comparison syndrome. And
huge.
Because what you said is like, you need to be blinkered, don't need to give a shit about what he's doing, what they're doing.
Yeah.
And this is something I probably struggled with as I started to succeed in business, because the more success you have, the more money you have, the more opportunities you have, the more time you have, you try and do too many different things. And now reality is I've come back to like singularity focus, of just like focus on one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Execute that really, really well, and then you can go to the next thing, rather than... Yeah. And here's a saying for anyone, is that an idiot will beat a genius when a genius is trying to do 5 things and an idiot's trying to do 1.
Yeah.
And now I have multiple businesses. I really understand that more than ever, because it's like I have only so much bandwidth and attention.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, for example, if I just did my fitness business still, would that be doing better than it is now? That it still does really well as multiple 7 figures a year. But yeah, it would. Yeah. Because I don't have full focus on that. And that's an important thing for people to think about. But the comparison syndrome thing, I think a lot of people have a negative connotation with, in terms of seeing other people succeed. So, for example, I know you mentioned earlier seeing other people in the Mastermind 7-Figure Scaling Systems group doing well, and thinking like, you're similar to me. Like, I see other people doing like, fuck, like I need to work harder, I need to like do this, I need to do that. Whereas other people are like, it makes them feel inferior. And that's people's own small-mindedness, not understanding that people sometimes create their own luck. So, for example, Celine, the French lady we mentioned, she got up at an hour earlier, got up at 5 a.m, did some outreach because she knew she had to do it, and then she got this call booked in with the guy she's trying to sell super high price. Like, she created her own luck with doing that.
Exactly.
And that's where too many people are, oh, so-and-so's doing X, Y, Z, I'm not doing that, and they feel bad. It's like, well, if you feel bad, go and do something about it.
So the comparison thing, the thing about that, it can cause frustration, because the reason being is people are focusing on everybody else rather than putting their focus there. And at the end of the day, and I'm going to be straight now, like me and Ben have like 2-3 months with you, I'm working harder than I've ever worked in my life, and I'm not making more money right now because the money's getting paid out, but I know I will. Right? I know, right? You have to, but I feel like you have to just ensure that when you put the full focus on whatever you're doing, and it has to have a plan and a structure, and you have to follow through each day what you're doing, or it's going to be chaotic. Thankfully, I've got Ben as a business partner, who's, Ben, he's
organized,
very, oh my God, different, totally like opposite of me. Organized, amazing systems, amazing IT, so we just gel. It's like every bit of my weakness is his strength, vice versa maybe. So that's why basically comparison's good if you can use it in a positive manner, meaning, God, look, he made that. Fuck, I want to try and beat that.
Well, it shows it can be done.
Yeah, and not like being, oh, I'm never going to do that. Like, this is the problem of the planet. Everybody takes this victimization mentality because social media, oh, you're not losing weight because you have a problem with binge eating. I'm going, here, hold on a minute.
I got a slow thyroid.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with you. You're just listening in your wrong environment. And you're listening to these people who are feeling sorry for you. Come to me. I'm going to educate you. I'm going to get results. Slow thyroid or not, doesn't matter what. And I've worked with loads of people with hormonal issues, got results. So it's mindset is everything. Mindset is absolutely everything when it comes to anything in life, and that would overcome, but a positive mindset in that.
It is an interesting one as well. Most people probably don't realize I naturally have a negative mindset. I wake up every day, I'm in a bad mood. It's just
I'm probably the same.
Just the way I am. So my girlfriend gets pissed. It's like, why are you in a
So does my wife.
I'm like, the morning don't talk to me. Like I need some time to like get myself going. And I know a lot of other men who are similar. And one of the best things I say for anyone to get a positive frame of mind is this exercise. If you sit down, pen and paper, write all your goals you have for the rest of the year and do them in present tense. So be like, I have a net worth of X. I have X amount of clients. I make this much a week. I have X% body fat. Like I go on holiday here. Like, because when you start to say that to yourself, eventually it becomes true. Because one of the biggest things I see is people are like, I can never make that much money. Well, if you believe that's possible, it's never going to fucking happen, right?
You know, the first thing I came across here was, and it's funny because we keep talking a lot about people working on their bodies, right? But my company is called Mind Body Mastery, because working on your mind's probably more powerful. And some of the stuff you're talking about, one of the first people, God rest his soul, Bob Proctor.
Yeah.
Right? And Bob Proctor's book
OG.
on Napoleon Hill.
Yeah.
And this is where I started going, right, and it's all that. And then you've got Bob Proctor, and you've got Joe Dispenza, and you've got what do you call the main guy now? It's super positive talking. Whatever. Anyway.
Tony Robbins.
Yeah. So basically it's about creating that mindset. And you know what? This getting up negative every morning, you know what it is? It's habits and behaviors. Everything in life is habits and behaviors. So if we get up, Joe Dispenza, get the opposite side of the bed, make your bed in the morning, get in a habit, do this, do your meditation, do whatever. And people say, oh, meditation's cuckoo. It's actually not. It's scientifically proven. So it's all about creating habits and behaviors, and you're not going to just do it in 2 days. And it's the same with me getting a transformation client and say, look, these habits and behaviors are going to take you like 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. They start even instilling. It's going to take you 2 months, 3 months just to keep them going till you get results. And I totally believe if you do that, you can have those habits and behaviors long term. Yes, I believe certain things can come and knock you off bat. But then that's why it's important to have the right environment around you. Like, for example, last week, I nearly had a mental breakdown, and I had Ben, who is like a thought of reason, a voice of reasoning, where if I had been on my own, I would have like, shit. So it's like, yes. And it's also realizing that don't be taking a perfectionism ideal, because nothing in life is perfect. Right, you could be the most positive person in the world, but something's going to hit you up the face someday and you just go, fuck, this is a bad day. But if you can literally have a positive mindset and realize that not every day is going to be all rainbows and just work through it.
I think with that being said, I think one of the big things most people don't think about is that, like, thoughts become things, right? So if you think...
Exactly.
Like negatively all the time, or you think your business is going to fail, you'll start to take negative actions.
Yes.
Whereas if you start to believe that your business is going to get to X point, you'll start to take more actions.
Exactly.
Because you'll take on more risks, you'll try more different things.
Yeah.
And the reality is people get into like constriction mindset. We're like, oh, I'm just going to keep the clients I have. I'm not going to try and grow. And that's when their business. But that's when your business will tail off, right?
Yeah.
Because your mind is going to take all your actions to where down the drain of where you're thinking. So like turning that around and coming the other way is a huge thing. I think you mentioned habits a couple of times. One of the books I'm actually rereading at the moment is Atomic Habits.
I actually have that.
And it's funny, I was reading it.
Read it.
Yeah, I was reading it on the beach the other day, and I think the subject of the top of the chapter was like environment is everything. And I looked up and I was on the beach by the Birds of Rap, and I was like, this is poignant. So I took a photo.
I'm going to read that book from today on. I guarantee. I've got it.
So like, for me, I try and read a chapter of that a day. Or anyone who's got, if you struggle with mindset, I would read the 2 books by Tim Grover, Relentless or Winning. If you're like, you are like how I am, like type A, like competitive. You read that book and like, fuck this, I'm going to win. Like, it just snaps you back in terms of the mindset.
You can send me that later because I want that book.
Those are probably the 2 Winning, I think, is better than Relentless, but they're
Yeah.
probably two best books. So
Yeah.
that, and then the other book on habits I'd recommend is The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson.
Okay.
Talks about like how the small different changes you make every day compounds over time to give you that edge that grows. So if you imagine someone gets 1% better every single day, like what does that look like in 5 years' time?
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's where I think in my opinion, people are getting softer now. Not that I'm old at 33, but I see young guys now not willing to do what it takes.
Yeah, because social media is trying to paint this pretty picture, even when like, oh, here's how to make 7 figures easily. Oh, here's how to lose. Here's how to transform your body in 2 weeks. You know, it's social media, and this is where everybody's getting this negative mental. They're waking it up each morning and they're putting straight on their Instagram, and already they're conditioning their brain to these negative thoughts right away.
I don't know if you find the same, but I've started to hate. I like long form content like this more, like podcasts, and because it's obviously I use Instagram a lot, but it's too much manufactured bullshit, and the amount of people who just copy other people, same generic shit, and I'm like, there's never actually anything on there. Or the second thing that frustrates me is there's people teaching things from people who haven't actually done it themselves. So like if you look at trainers, for example, and everyone has their right to post and share what they want, right? But like there's people talking about really advanced exercises, say for example for like lat development, doing X, Y, Z. It's like, but you look like you've never trained in your life, so it's like you probably shouldn't be trying to teach this.
Exactly.
It's like I'm not going to try and teach about how to put fucking rocket ship into space because I have absolutely no idea how to do it. I could probably bullshit a video of how to do it, but like, I'm not going to do that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Even like to be honest, between me and you, I hate using Instagram, but I know for a fact it's drawing people in, which is what we're trying to do. And I'm happy drawing people in and selling them my membership because I have integrity and I know I get results, but I just don't like doing what I'm doing. And it's funny because I did the biomechanics course with M1 and I could start doing more like advanced, but then I went back and said, you know what? Fucking everybody is doing all this advanced stuff. I'm going to go back and teach what I used to do from day one, old school. Here's your normal lat pull down. Here's your exercise. Make it a little bit funny. Put some funny videos in. And like, it still gets results. And there's still people coming on. But does that hit lat or does that hit upper back? I'm going to go, oh, Jesus Christ. It's like, oh my God, give me strength. But yeah.
You're not competing in the Olympia. Like, it's just not really a...
Oh my God. Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's where... like it depends is the answer to everything. Exactly. Because it's the context of the person involved. Whereas like, and it's the same with people with their business. It's like, should I run Facebook ads? It depends. Like, how many clients do you have? What's the goal of the business? Like, it completely depends. And the reality is that I think if you look at where most people are, the reason they're just struggling, just generally, whether it be fat loss or the business, they have no clear goal of what they really want to do. They have no plan to get there either. So it's like, what are we actually even doing here? And if anyone's listening to this in that position right now, I'd probably take a hard look in the mirror at yourself, because you're the person holding yourself back with this stupidity, because that's the reality of what you're doing.
100%. And people are getting softer in the story. And you know what I started going back doing? I look back and go, right, Mark, when did you get the best results with clients? It's when you were stricter and you just called people out and called them out in their bullshit, and you told them, right, take self-responsibility. In fact, Mark, how are you going to improve your own business? Take self-responsibility and stop being a bitch to yourself. So same thing in the story. That's what it is. People are like making excuses, negative self-talk, when all they need to do is just get a plan, get an action, and just work each day.
And it's extreme ownership.
Yeah.
Because the reality is, I was coached, for example, by Jordan Peters for a while, maybe like 2-3 years. And he was a fucking arse with me. But I got phenomenal results because, like,
and a phenomenal coach, and this is why he gets results.
Because, like, I'd be like, "Oh, I ate a protein bar," and he'd fucking go off on one, and I'd be like, "For fuck's sake, I'm not doing that again." But then, so like we said earlier, you fall to your standards. My standards got pushed so high that like I'm not coming off track with anything, and that's
exactly
now what I'm like with a lot of people. I give them shit with like. Respectfully, we almost can't help some people because like you can't help yourself.
Yeah,
and if you're not willing to let someone give you a bit of shit because you're not doing what you're supposed to do.
Exactly.
You don't really want the end outcome of the business you want. Because you'll see this with your fitness clients. Like, sometimes I feel I want it more than they do. And like, it's not my fucking business.
Yeah. Oh, I'm the same. I'm like so results orientated, and like, but I'm flexible to a certain point. But I also have to tell these people, look, you still need some restraint. The problem is they're reading social media and going, oh, you can eat 5 burgers a day and still get amazing results. No, all this bullshit in social media is painting pictures in their head. So what I try and do is tell them my experience, tell them the science, and tell them, look, if you actually want this goal, you're going to have to do what I say. But I'm going to teach them and learn them how to do that so they can do it in future. And when they get that result, they could go back in their comfort zone. You know what? It's hard to get there, but when you get there, it's easy to maintain. End the story. So why not push, get there, and then maintain? And I could do the same. I could push my business now, push for the next 5 years. Then I could happily maintain and have every other people running it and happy maintain and retire. Oh, I need to retire because I'm getting old. So yes, push for a certain period, pull back when you need to, pull back, and that works.
And that's where the way I look at business and fitness, you have different seasons. So with your business, you have seasons of sowing, seasons of reaping. So like you're in a business season of sowing at the moment, like we're building, and the reaping's coming. And like I'm still in a season of sowing at the moment. So it's like you have to grind. And then the reaping season's coming. It's just like...
And in the fitness world, it's like like summer months, people back off and they know like... And it's always, September to October, November, it's crazy. January, February, March, April, it's crazy. And there's down periods where you may do certain things. But thankfully this year what I can see is people are going on holidays a bit later. So they're actually, at the minute, the gyms are crazy busy. People are like, so business can be quite good at the minute, where before all our Junes and Julys were quieter. So I can see potential in these months.
Why do you think the standard of personal training in Dubai is so low?
I don't think it's just Dubai. I think it's around the world, right? And the problem is why it is in Dubai is, right, say if I was in a small town, my town, Derry, it's such a small town, everybody knows everybody. So if you're a shit trainer, it's going to go around, right? And I made it my point to be one of the best trainers. So my name would spread. The problem is in Dubai, there's a few things. People come, nobody knows them. They say, oh, I can do this, do that. And they're absolutely terrible. The education behind personal training is terrible. I would totally wipe away the level 3 course. I would redesign the course that's got proper nutrition, proper biomechanics, a business side of it. So the coach would have to do a full year before they can even be a coach. And the problem is it's not governed. It's not governed anywhere in the world.
It's like the Wild West.
Yeah, it's not governed anywhere in the world. So if I went to ask people for qualifications, probably half of them won't have qualifications. And even people that have qualifications doesn't mean they're good coaches. The thing is if you do your level 3 and you think, right, I know everything, that's it, you're never going anywhere on this planet as a good coach. In fact, you don't have the passion to push forward to be a good coach in your head and mentality if that's where you feel you have to leave it. I literally travelled back and forth. I was in Ireland. I travelled back and forth to UK, spent a lot of money to get coached with a lot of top coaches in UK. I did a lot of seminars. Man, the money I spent in developing my knowledge and expertise throughout the years is a lot. I wish I had done more business with you earlier. But you know what? At the same time, it doesn't matter. I believe everything happens for a reason at the right time. And I can see some things that have just come in together at the right time. And that's the way I flow now. I'll just let it just comes together at the right time. And I just work now what I can do.
You mentioned obviously working with us. What would you say to anyone who's on the fence about reaching out for help for the business side of things? Because even like, maybe when I first started my journey with my business, I've always had mentors, coaches. I've probably spent £300,000 on mentorship coaching. And this is what I say to people is like, I'm giving you the fucking shortcuts of like all of this that I've done the last 7 years, like of what works that we use. Like, what would you say to people on the fence to that? Because even I remember, like, for example, people around from where I'm from, like, why the fuck are you hiring people to help you with your business?
Yeah.
But like, look now, like.
So what I will say, right, and I talk every day to coaches. Coaches talk to me every day because they see me as a nutritionist, not really a competition. But or they drop their ego and they see Mark can actually teach me something in training. And there's a lot of really good coaches in training, and they're stuck where I was. So if I could give them advice, is like, if you invest now what's needed to be invested and learn the business side, all right, you're already a good coach, but being a good coach is not good enough to grow you successfully in business. You're going to be always there living from month to month. Oh God, am I going to make my 20 or 30k thousand there, what they're doing here if they're lucky? And trust me, some shit will happen that'll not go down too well. What they got to do is realize that the business side of it is a scary part. Yes, you're going to get out of your comfort zone. If you invest now, I guarantee these people, and I love this saying, if you put everything in now the next 6 months, you'll be 5 years ahead. And I spoke to a guy the other day who's coming on board with you. This guy's a phenomenal coach, great coach, but I can see myself in him. And in another 10 years, he would be just in the exact same place, working his ass off every day, doing PT, getting people results, but not growing any more money. Now, we're not saying here, be greedy, but what we're saying is you deserve better. You deserve to make more money, especially the work you put into yourself as a coach. And the business side, the sales side, even how to set up the systems is a huge, huge part. And the guys need to remember, you're not just personal trainers. This is your business. This is your life. So you gotta like have someone. And for me, the reason I picked you is because, number one, I already knew you had a super successful business. And I already heard some figures, and I like them figures, and that's the figures I'm in for. And number two, because you train. And you know what? This is a crazy mentality. I thought, right, I can't do my training and my bodybuilding and
I'm gonna be saying this to me.
And doing this. But you can focus on a few different things as long as you have structure and planning. So I seen you doing them all, and I says, right, I'm getting in there. And you know what? It's the best move I've made. It's not an easy move. I've been stressed out. But I know for a fact, and it's only 2 months, we've made well above the money we paid out. And if it's only 2 months, 3 months, Jesus almighty, in 1 year, we will be in a significant place. Still getting people phenomenal results. In fact, you know what? We're going to get 10 times the amount of people phenomenal results. Mark can only help 50 people. Mark has 10 coaches. That's 500 people we're going to save. And it's not just helping, it's saving. It's adding years on the life. So that is my goal. This is why I'm building it. And the best move I have and I'm not boasting you up, so don't get a big head, is moving forward and doing this option and learning the whole thing about the business. And you know what? I wish I had done this when I was 20. See, if I had done this, like I started as a trainer at 17 and 47. See, if I had done this in my 20s properly and actually put the work in it, not going 1 foot in, 1 foot out, right? It's actually going in, putting the work in, because I'm telling you straight, you're going to have days you're going, oh, this isn't working. We all have that. It's not. You're going to have to persevere right through it, do the work, and commit to it 1,000,000% the way you commit your training for the next 6 months to a year. Then we'll look. I know I'll look back. I'll look back with Ben. Me and Ben will argue some days. I'll look back and we'll laugh at this. Laugh. And but yes, so they got to do it now. And man, I wish I had it done it 20 years ago. So that's 20 years. If I had to multiply what I had, because we all don't want it. Why should we script by in life? Why should we script by? We do not, especially if you put on all your work to learning to be the very best you can so that you're helping others. You shouldn't script by. Fuck that. Excuse my French.
And this is what I explain to people. Is like, for example, if you said like a bare minimum, you not know how to make an extra $10,000 a month is costing you $10,000 a month. So if you look at like 2023, the 7 months left of the year, so you're effectively paying $70,000 in ignorance tax, not knowing how to make $10,000 online.
Yeah.
You don't know how to make 20,000. That's 140,000. Yeah. Because respectfully, like I said earlier in this podcast, my girlfriend made £6,000 in 2 hours the other day because I showed her how to do it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that hard. It's just people don't know how yet, and you don't know what you know.
And they feel fear, and everybody sits in their comfort zone. And I'm telling you, comfort zones eventually reach a limit where we can get completely frustrated. And the worst case scenario, we fall over a cliff and we regress. And that's what happens.
And the reality is people need to change the perspective, because you only lose when you quit or you stop. If you never actually stop, I've never seen anyone who's gone all in on their business, like would do anything, who hasn't been successful.
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
It's impossible.
1,000,000%. And I guarantee, yes, they'll go on, but there's days they'll want to quit.
Oh, yeah, and I get that all the time.
Oh, my God. Last week I was going, right, I had enough. Can't cope with this no more. And you know what? Yesterday we had an amazing meeting. And I went, oh, thank God I didn't quit or didn't even think about it. And now I've got a laser focus because of this meeting yesterday that me and Ben had with, I know for a fact we're just going on the up.
100%. Thank you for your time today, Mark. I know that will inspire a lot of coaches who are in the position they're probably struggling. If anyone's listening to this who wants a free course I've just made, it's our 4C course, the secrets to how we've made over $5 million in fitness organically. You can hit the link below this. Where should people find out more about you, Mark?
My Instagram, Mark Doherty Coaching, is the main place first. So if they go there, that's where they would find me. I'm resetting my website. So right now, Instagram, Mark Doherty Coaching.
Awesome. Anyone listening to this, make sure you subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave us a 5-star review on iTunes, and we'll see you next episode very soon.
Thank you.
Awesome. That's great, dude. Thank you.
Amazing.
That's awesome.
You.